Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is Leslie, and today we are going to be finishing off these embroidery cards. Now, I'm currently learning how to embroider. My husband bought me several of these dies for Christmas and my birthday, and so I've been practicing with them, all the different ones here, and then those are some of the other dies that I haven't got to yet, but these four are the ones that I'm working on. So I want to set up how I want to create some backgrounds for these papers. This purple one, I definitely want glitter with it. And I did find some in my scrap pile there. That was perfect. The mint colored one, I'm going to do this holographic paper from scrapbook.com. And then the last one, I am going to do just some white paper behind it. And then with the high, I'm not showing it here, but I'll show it later. We're going to do some dark purple backdrop and maybe some embossing. So let's get started. I am showing you, this is how I carry all my stuff. I tend to embroider on the go when I'm waiting like at the doctor's office, or just have some spare time, or I'm watching a movie. Just kind of sitting down. I've been embroidering, and you can see by the mess of the background that I'm not very good. I'm still learning. So to finish this background, or this front, I guess, I am gluing down all the little strings and cutting them down so that you don't see them in between those open spaces. So I'm just going to be doing this for all of my cards here today. And with this particular one, I do want to create a little bit of a border. I was just showing you how much I cleaned up on that. I do want to do this pink border that goes with the light pink of the string. The thread that I used was actually a multicolored thread. It had the ombre look, which is why some of the petals are dark pink and some of them are light pink. I really actually enjoyed that. And then I'm just going to put glue on the actual thread, since it does raise it up quite a bit. Putting glue on the paper doesn't really stick it down, so you do have to glue on the actual thread, and I suggest liquid glue because that tape runner isn't going to do anything for you, and like foam tape isn't quite going to do it for you either. So I am going to put some acrylic blocks and then some of my die machine pieces and everything on this, just to really give it some weight so that that glue really sticks down to the background. And then I do want to put this frame around there, and since it is a little more up because of the thread, I am going to cut some of the edge off, just like an 1/8 of an inch on each of those sides, because that's what's not quite lining up. My die probably wasn't exactly perfect on its paper when it ran through, so that's why I'm having to cut this edge here. And then I will end up gluing that frame onto my little card front here, and it'll be very pretty. There, that's where it's going to be perfect. So just putting some liquid glue on there, keeping to that paper edge, because I will press down and make sure it's paper to paper, maybe a little bit of glue along some of the thread just to make sure that it really sticks down. And then I am going to hold that down for just a few seconds here to really make sure that it's together there. This is my year of learning new crafting, not only embroidery, which is really fun, but I'm also learning how to crochet too. So if you follow my Instagram, you can kind of see all the different things that I'm doing right now. So with this card, I'm just going to turn it into a thank you card. I'm using that same pink paper that I used for the frame to do the outline of this thank you die, and then I'm just using white for the actual word. So I'm only going to make it just one paper depth. A lot of the times I'll die cut a few of the words out, but in this case I'm trying to keep the dimension really low, just because that thread gives lots of dimension to the card, and I don't want to make it too thick, because if I decide to mail this, we don't want it to cost an arm and a leg. So I'm just going to use some liquid glue to get that down. I really like this die. I use it quite a bit. and then we'll get that attached to our card front as well. And we're just going to use liquid glue again, since I'm going to have to make sure it's connecting to all the threads there. So I'm just going to glue the whole piece, even though not all of it will stick, but that's just to make sure that wherever the thread touches the die cut, it will actually stick. And then I'm going to put another acrylic block and let that kind of sit. And then with this particular piece, I am going to add some bling here, some honeybee stamps, rhinestones, and I'm going to add them where those little petals, I guess, meet along that edge there. And I'm going to do that wherever you can actually see those petals line up. And then I also did it right in the middle of the blue circles and that blue square. So that is my final card with that. I really like how it came out. It's very pink. I will probably send it to my grandmother. It's her favorite color. All right, and then with this one, I've already cleaned up most of the backing. I did a much better job with this one about keeping that back a little bit cleaner when I was actually embroidering it. So I'm just going to use my tape runner to put down the holographic paper onto my card base. And then we're going to bring in that liquid glue again for that to glue on the front to the base. We're going to do that again because we're going to have to glue on top of the thread, because again, that creates all that dimension. We'll just do that real quick. This one, I was going for my favorite colors with the mint, and then I ran out. So I do usually like 3 or 4 threads, and because I did that, I did run out of the mint there, so I decided to go with navy because that's my other favorite color. And then with this one, I'm just going to do a hello sentiment. Now, since this one is so delicate, this particular die, I did cut it out a couple times with some white cardstock, some 100-pound, 120-pound white cardstock here, and then I used the same holographic paper for the very top hello, just so it has a little bit more of that shine and bling in there. Now, the camera doesn't pick it up real great, and neither does the photos. Guys, this card is beautiful in person. And you can really see that sparkle from the holographic paper, but just this one and the glitter, it is really hard to pick up on camera, just catching the light just right so you guys can see it. So trust me when I say it's beautiful. But that's the hello is put together. And then I tried kind of, moving it around, seeing what I liked, where I could put it where I'd be able to read that hello really well. And it just wasn't doing it for me. So I am going to pull out my oval dies from Spellbinders here and kind of create a little backdrop for that hello. So I just glued the hello onto the white, and then I am going to bump it up with some foam tape, but I am going to put a little bit of glue on those foam pieces so that it actually sticks real well to the thread, because it will connect more to the thread than the paper, of course, but we're going to really smush it down so it connects as much as possible to make sure that stays. Perfect. Now you can kind of see the hollow. And then let's put some rhinestones on here from Queen & Co. We're going to put them in the middle of the little circles that I didn't embroider. All these little dots could have thread through them, just depending on what you want to do as your design. I chose to go a little bit simpler and just stick with the bigger circles. Again, I'm still learning, so that's why I kept it as simple as I did. And just a little bit of sparkle there. I think it looks great. And yeah, the seeing the holographic between the little holes, you can kind of see it in the picture, but it's kind of hard. And then I am going to do some stamping for this one. I'm using a stamp set from Colorado Company, the Happy Mother's Day. And I did find some of my Simon Says stamp saturated ink, and amethyst is the perfect color. I was just showing you how I swatch and figure out which color actually matches. So I am going to stamp that here. I will end up stamping it twice just to make sure it gives me a good impression. in this particular card, this was the first time that I was using this stamp, and so I did prep it a little bit by running my fingers over it to kind of get rid of the waxiness, but I didn't need to press it twice here, but it came out really pretty. And then I'm just putting one of my arches dies, these nesting dies here, and to cut out the Happy Mother's Day, and I'm going to do that as well with some more glitter paper. Now that little hole that you see on the back of the glitter paper, you know, you're not going to see it. Like I said, this is scrap paper that I had in my bin. Thankfully it was the right color because I was out of this color in my pack. I had used it for my 3-year-old's cake topper, and then also my 1-year-old's a starfish, which is why I had so many different things cut out of it, but I had just enough for this card as well, so I was really excited that I did. So again, I'm just gluing using liquid glue, all that thread. I did let this sit for quite a bit and came back to it because since I'm doing it onto glitter paper, which has its own like difficulties of making sure things stick, I really wanted it to have some time to bond. So I did the same thing with the Happy Mother's Day. I did use some reverse tweezers there, and I just let that sit probably for a couple hours and then came back to this card either later that day or the next day, guys. My cards I kind of do in shifts, especially if I'm doing a series like this. This probably not even counting the time it took to embroider all these pieces, but these 4 different cards probably took 2 or 3 days for me to actually find some time to do it. So I'm just bumping up that Happy Mother's Day, same way I did in the other card, putting some foam tape on the back and then a little bit of glue so that it really sticks to those threads. And then I decided not to add any more bling because you do see quite a bit of sparkle and shine with this in person, and that's the final card. Okay, so this high, I did a little bit differently. You see these roses and everything on it. I actually followed a tutorial, and I will link her channel down below. And I wanted to do it a little bit differently. So I wanted to do the roses like she did. And so I just followed her tutorial. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to emboss half of this paper because this is going to be my card base. And this doesn't really work out. This is scrap paper as well. And I didn't actually have this color in my stash as a full sheet, so I wasn't able to make this into a top folding card, so I'm having to make it into a side folding card, and I wanted that embossing plate to only go down so far so that I have some room for my sentiment, and I'm going to be doing this thinking of you. So this is how it embossed. And because this is such a 3D embossing, 1, I didn't have enough water, and 2, it just kind of cracked the paper because of how I had it set up. I had a little bit too much pressure with my die machine, but it still worked out. It's still really pretty. I will have to like put a book on it because of the creases, but that's okay. And then we're going to be doing some embossing with some white powder here. I'm just flipping my stamping tool here upside down because I really want to make sure that paper lines up well. And then I am using that Thinking of You. I just think this is so pretty. That sentiment stamp set, that's new to me, but a really old stamp set. I have an acquaintance at my daughter's little library time that she also crafts quite a bit, and she was destashing, and she gave me a bunch of these close to your heart or close to my heart stamps. And so I'm just starting to get into the what do I actually have in my stamping stash now. And this was one of them, so I was really excited. I'm just stamping that with my Versamark ink, and then I'm putting some of that white fine powder on it. This is just Rangers. And then I do have to do a little bit of extra smushing here. I did use some anti-static powder, but I didn't quite use enough, and so then I was wiping away some of it and then had to add more because I wiped some of the tea off. And then I'm just going to heat that up, and then I am just going to take a microfiber cloth and get the leftover anti-static powder off of this, and it does really, really well, making sure it goes back to normal paper color. And then since this is such a dark colored cardstock, I am going to put a white piece of cardstock also on the inside, so then I can write on it and you're able to see it. And I did cut that a little weird, so it's a little bit shorter on the tops and bottoms, but it's okay. It's homemade, guys. It's fine. And then I do end up kind of flattening this out a little bit. It doesn't flatten out my die, the embossed parts, but it does flatten out some of those creases, and just from the warping of the heat embossing. So then I'm just gonna go ahead and put some foam tape on the back of this high and kind of get it set up exactly where I want it to be. I don't want it quite in the middle, but I want it kind of having that connection with the thinking of you. And then I'm just going to peel off the foam tape. You can kind of see my backing there and the mess that it is. And then I'm just going to add some liquid glue to that as well, just because I am putting this on an uneven surface. So wherever that glue touches, I want it to connect. So just doing that with the H. And then, of course, the I does have its the I and the tittle. That's a funny word, guys. It's a really, every time I say it, that's the name, but it's funny. We're just going to press that down as well. And then I will link that tutorial down below. Give her channel some credit, because that is where I got it. I can't remember her name, but it will be down in the description. And then that is my final card there as well. I didn't put any other bling because there's just so much going on. And I think it came out really great. So these are the 4 cards that I made today practicing my embroidering. This lovely little thank you. There's so much sparkle, guys. I just wish it could be seen on camera nearly as much, but I really love all of these cards and I'm excited to send them off. I hope you guys have a great day. Like, subscribe, and see you in another video soon. Bye.